Welcome to Wichita, Kansas, known for its quiet neighborhoods and its Midwestern charm. But beneath the surface lies a dark history that took place once upon a time and terrorized the city of Wichita. This is the story of BTK, Dennis Rader. Between 1974 and 1991, a serial killer stalked these same streets, meticulously, silently, and with a twisted signature. He called himself BTK, bind, torture, kill. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Nick. I'm your host. Today is going to be a tough day of filming. We are retracing the steps of a serial killer, which is never easy. We're going to visit, I believe, about 8 locations. A lot of these locations are murder victims' homes, BTK's house, and more. I'm going to be discreet and quick with a lot of them because they are residents' homes today, but I still want to document the locations. Join me, and we'll just see how this video goes. My goal for this video is to remember those 10 victims, the lives that were lost at the hands of a sick man, a horrible man, and over time their names get lost in the history books, and a lot of them are just labeled victim of BTK. One of them is buried behind me in the cemetery. We'll come here at the end. But my goal for this video is to remember the victims and not forget who they were. They were normal people like you and I, and just remember them. Let's begin. We've made it to our first location, and this is where, for BTK, the killing spree started on 8th Street. The Otero family, January 15th, 1974. BTK chose this family as his first victims. A very peaceful, quiet neighborhood today, and it was as well until January 15th, 1974. This house straight ahead of me was the Otero family home. Now, they had a number of kids, but when BTK decided to break in the back door and force his way in with a handgun, there was only 4 of them home. The father, Joseph, the mother, Julie, and 2 of their children, Josephine and Joseph Jr. From what we know and what they found out, this was BTK's first known attack, as well as his most shocking. He left behind a scene that haunted even seasoned investigators. Now, I'm not 100% certain if a family currently lives here today, so I don't want to get too close. A lot of these locations today, I'm filming homes that are still here and homes that are owned by, new people today. So I want to respect their privacy, not get up in their face, and honestly, I don't want to have anyone coming out asking me why are you filming my house? So, especially due to the topic of this video. But what I want to do is I want to go park down there and go see the fence and check out the backyard as much as we could, because supposedly BTK hopped the fence and made his way in back. So let's go get a closer look. I just noticed this too. What's crazy, that sign says run, literally right in front of the Otero home. Now, I'm sure they're having a community run today, but it's kind of eerie to think, BTK arrives, run. All right, there's cars, trucks in the backyard, so somebody definitely lives here. I don't want to get too close, but BTK, how he came to the Otero family house was he saw one day the mother, Julie, and the daughter, Josephine, walking home from school and into this house, and like I said, he stalked them for 2 to 3 weeks. Then on January 15th, 74, he hops this fence, cuts the power lines in the back and makes his way in with a gun. And it's not pretty how it ended up. He had them all in one room. He strangled the mom, but she wasn't dead yet. He suffocated the father, Joseph, with a bag. The two kids, horrible, strangled them. And then the mom, Julie, was still alive, so he takes her down into the basement and he hangs her. And that's how he left. Now, they say he dropped his knife in the backyard, so he actually, when he left, he came back here to retrieve it. Gosh. Sickening, very sickening. In my opinion, this is one of the worst, if not the worst, murders, because it has to do with children. And I have a daughter of my own, and I just can't imagine the horrible things that went on inside this house. Made it to our next location. BTK's known second murder was only a few months after the Otero family, and actually the location of this house is only 5 minutes from the Oteros. This is the former home of Catherine Bright. Right here. This is the driveway. It's an empty plot of land today. Actually, this is the only location we're going to visit that the house is no longer here today, but he picked her after spotting her entering the house right here with a friend. And then he got very creepy and serial killer like. He did his research on her. He found out what her name was. I believe I read he looked in her mailbox, found out where she worked, and stalked her for a little while. And then on April 4th, 1974, he parked his car a block or so away. While she's not home, BTK sneaks into the back door. There's a sliding door, and he breaks the glass, and then he's waiting there for her. But then he runs into a problem. His problem is when she does get home, he does not realize her brother actually comes in the house with her. He confronts them both, puts her brother in one room and her in another. He ties her brother up, but he escapes. And Dennis Rader ends up shooting him. He still escapes. Now, after BTK shot her brother, he actually played dead till Rader left the house. And then he ran and asked for help. Now, if you watch any of the court trials from BTK, actually most of it is all on YouTube, but he said this was his most most disappointing, that's a good word. In his words, his most disappointing kill, because he didn't get to kill Catherine Bright the way he wanted to by strangling. Major props to her. She fought till the very end, and he had such a struggle with her that he ended up stabbing her to death, and he panicked after that and ran. And then more props to her because she fought for her life and stayed alive, even made it to the ER, and unfortunately she passed away in the emergency room. At the end of this video, the last location we're going to see is her gravesite. So if you want to pay your respects with me, stay till the end. We are currently on Pershing Street. And on December 8th, 1977, Dennis Rader would make his way to this very quiet street, to the home of Nancy Fox. Well, that home has definitely seen better days. Now, once again, somebody does live there. I'll zoom in for you, but December 8th, 1977, Dennis Rader broke into the back window when she was not home. The sick thing about this one was he told her his plan, what he was going to do. Had no way out of it. But what he was doing, and once again, I realize this is sick, but we're just replaying what happened here in this little house. He brought the belt out and he was choking her. He would make her go unconscious and bring her back to life, and back and forth, and that's how it went until she was dead. It was here after this murder that BTK starts to get a little cocky. After he murders Nancy Fox, he will then call the police and tell her about the body and where it is. Thinks he's not going to get caught. And as our story goes, you'll be able to tell he thinks he's too smart for the cops, but he wants people to know he's doing something. There it is, 8:43. He broke in the back. Nancy Fox's life would end right inside this house, unfortunately. It's mind-blowing to me that these same roads I'm driving on, these same quiet little streets, one time Dennis Rader, BTK, was doing the same thing, stalking around looking for his next victim. Who would think such horrible tragedies could happen in such a quiet little country town in Wichita, Kansas? I'm literally on Dennis Rader's street. Can't believe that. In this house right here, our next victim. This is the home of Marine Hedge, technically Dennis Rader's neighbor down the street, where on April 27th, 1985, she disappeared from her home. Okay, this is funny. So this is the only residence I'm filming from my car, and it's the only one I got busted. So the woman who lives at the Marine Hedge house now, she came out, asked what I was doing, so she was nice about it. I don't want to be, I just don't want to be like bothering them at all. So I'm going to talk about what happened to Marine Hedge. Well, I've made it to our next location, and this is not going to work out so well for me. And it sucks because I was waiting to come here. I'm across the street from the famous, and the only reason it's famous in a horrible way is because what BTK did there. But it's the Christ Lutheran Church that BTK was president for about 30 years. The reason I was looking forward to coming here is because, as you can tell from a lot of our locations, most of them are private residents. But this location, it's out in the farmland. Was hoping it would be an empty parking lot, but unfortunately, it looks like there is an older couple and their grandson. And I'm sure they're church members. They're both picking up branches in the grass, and their grandson is swinging on the swings. And the last thing I want to have happen today is they ask me, what are you doing here filming? And I tell them, I'm filming a BTK video. Like, I'm not going to do that. And BTK is the last name the people of Wichita ever want to hear, especially that church. That church will forever have kind of a bad name for what happened inside. So I did manage to get in the parking lot, take some quick shots. So let's discuss quickly what went on in the church. Like I said, for over 30 years, Dennis Rader served as president of this very church council. Since he was a member of the church, he had keys that could allow him to get into the church at any time. He was a trusted, respected family man. The average American, as they would say. And all the while, behind closed doors, he was BTK, a killer hiding in plain sight. The most previous house we've been to was Marine Hedge. She was his neighbor. This murder strikes a different chord in me as well. It's kind of like the Otero family. Like I said in the beginning of the video, probably the most disturbing in my opinion. This one is very close second, because what he did after he murdered her, he brought her body, put her in the trunk, brought her body there in the middle of night or day, something. Anyway, he brought her body to the church and he placed her on the mantle in the church And then he decided to take photos for himself, for his own sick, disgusting pleasure. Rotten hell pleasure, if I'm being honest. But lo and behold, he placed her on the mantle, took pictures of her, kept them for himself, and actually, he was said to have kept a lot of his kill kits inside that very church. Not only that, but when he arrived here, he was a little smart. One, he had a key so he can get in whenever, and two, he put covers or styrofoam or whatever it is, some type of cover over the windows so nobody could see the lights on at night. That's what it was. So nobody could see the lights on at night. After he was done with his sick, disgusting fantasies, he took her body about 20 minutes down the road and dumped her in a ditch. Poor Marine Hedge. And may he rot forever hell after doing that in the Lord's house. We are almost done with this video. 2 more locations. Right now, we are heading to BTK's house. Never expected to be here and see this, and it's so sad, and in my opinion, like, it's even scary to be here, to know who lived at this house. But this was the plot that once belonged to Dennis Rader, and his house, his entrance to his driveway, still there today. But this is where he planned his murders. He kept his kill kits. Just can't believe in throwing some photos too of what looked like then, looked like now. I believe that house there is still there. I think that guy's outside washing his truck though. So once again, it's very hard to film these type of videos because I don't, people don't want their houses filmed. I wouldn't want mine filmed either, but trying to document these locations today, it's a little difficult. But after his arrest, which literally happened down the street and that way, after his arrest, all the popo came right here and searched his house. And that was the end of Dennis Rader. This is it. Right there. If he was anything like John Wayne Gacy, he would put it in the back. Okay, now look at this. Man, this is tough. There's a lady across the street. I already saw her coming out, and she's starting to... Guys probably couldn't hear that because I have my microphone. People, and I don't blame them. I do not blame them one bit. Dennis Rader tortured this town, and they don't want anything to do with him. They don't want anybody talking about him again. And look, spot right here where he was busted. Whew, I was doing good all day until I got to Dennis Rader Street. And the first lady at the Marine Hedge house, she was nice, got busted though. And then the second lady, when she saw me filming Dennis Rader's house, she was older, she was not too happy with me. So you probably saw it on camera. I just kept driving. Anyway, we've made it to the location that Dennis Rader was busted. Right here. So Dennis Rader's house, you see where that light up blue sign is at the end of the street? His house is right down there to the right. And if you look at overhead photos right in front of this drain here, this is his car was literally parked right here. This is the exact spot where he was caught. Right here. Now, real quick, we'll discuss this before I get yelled at by anybody else on the street. Eventually, BTK asked the police if they could trace a floppy disk. They purposely said no. He's stupid enough to believe them, and he sends it in. Gosh, I thought that lady was going to stop and say something too. They found, long story short, they found Dennis's name in the church info. They got DNA from his daughter at the university, compared DNA to the victims. They matched when he was coming home from lunch on February 25th, 2005 with his wife. Right here. Bam. arrested, cops galore all over. And this is where it went down. This is where BTK, his crimes ended right here, about 30 seconds away from his home. We've made it to downtown Wichita. And I didn't think I was going to see downtown, but I'm at a very important location right now, the Sedgwick County Courthouse, where BTK's famous trial was held. This whole section is actually really nice. And for being downtown, there's not a lot going on. It actually reminds me a lot of Oklahoma City. I'm from the Philadelphia area and currently live in Dallas. So when I think of cities like Philly, Dallas, it's always nuts. But look at this. It is a Saturday afternoon. And I'm the only one out here besides a few cars, but this is it. The Sedgwick County Courthouse is right here in this building that Dennis Rader confessed to a total of 10 murders. If you've ever seen the BTK court case, you could basically watch all of it on YouTube. But it's very creepy. He goes into such detail about each murder, very calmly, very detailed. And you can tell he's almost like proud of what he did. He wants to describe how smart he was that he got away with these murders, over 10 victims for such a long time. And he goes into all this crazy detail right inside here. And it was in here that Wichita finally learned the full scope of BTK's crimes. Sedgwick County Courthouse. What a sick man. God, it's like you just can't get over what was wrong with that dude. And even when he was done, he's like, oh yeah, I did that. And if you watch the videos, there's zero remorse at all. Like I said, it's almost like he was proud of what he was doing. And I do think there's a part of him that was glad he got caught, because then he could get the name credit. Just like it reminds me of John Wilkes Booth killing Abraham Lincoln. He wanted to kill Lincoln and get all the credit, and he thought he was going to get all the fame. BTK is a little bit like that too. He wanted people to know what he did. I don't know if he really wanted to get caught, but he wanted to know, like, people to know, hey, it was me. Stupid guy, so sick. Gosh, having a hard time even doing these locations. Why am I doing them? I don't know. It's creepy though. Dark history for sure. All right, now I'm so excited to go to a nice quiet cemetery. Usually I can do pretty good, go undetected, but I think a lot of people come out here to see the BTK streets and this and that, and people are just always on their guard and they don't like people doing what I do, documenting this stuff. So let's go to a nice quiet cemetery. We once again find ourselves back at Hillside Cemetery in search of Catherine Bright's grave, who was one of his earlier victims. We talked about her in the beginning of the video. Her house was the one that was no longer there. She's also one of the only victims that fought BTK till the very end, and she even made it as far as the ER. So I wanted to come pay her a visit. She was not too hard to find thanks to my friends at findagrave.com. I always like to give them credit because without them, it would be so difficult to find these graves, but here she is. Catherine Doreen Bright, born February 24th, 1953. was murdered April 4th, 1974. By that lunatic, sick man, Dennis Rader. What's so sad is she was only 21 years old. She had her whole life ahead of her. She did nothing wrong. For whatever reason, BTK decided to make her his next victim, to the point that he was stalking her, doing research on her, found her where she worked, and thankfully her brother got away, but she just couldn't make it. She's 6 feet below us, so hi, Catherine. Came to pay our respects to you and just let you know we're still thinking about you today. And I know that you are in a much better place, a happier, peaceful place. And I'm sorry for the way your life had to end here by some crazy guy. But I know you're at peace. Another reason why I wanted to come see Catherine is because, for as good as findagrave.com is, and it helps me to find people's graves, or someone like her grave, it also has some stuff that I don't care for. So I've done videos in the past on victims of stuff like this, and I think even on findagrave.com, her page, it in the description it just reads victim of BTK, period, and that's it. And I don't like that. I wish there was more they would have in there about the person. I mean, I think people could add more, but it's right now. It says victim of BTK, and that's not all she was. She had an entire life. She had family. She had friends. She had a brother that was with her at the end. So she's not just a victim of a serial killer. She was a real person, just like you and me, that her life was cut too short, very tragically. Catherine, it was nice to come and see you. I want to say in this video too, I wish I had the time and honestly the energy to go visit the final places of all the victims, all 10 of them, remember them all, visit all 10 of their graves. I don't. The people who I chose today, they were all in close proximity to one another, so it was easy for me to get around, but that doesn't mean I've forgotten about the other victims, and you shouldn't either. But it is nice to end the video here on a bright note, and she's 6 feet below us. The BTK murders for sure left scars that still linger across the city of Wichita today. Behind every location, there are victims, families shattered, and of course, lives lost. The city carries their memory though, and in remembering, we ensure their stories are never forgotten.